disease that no one has ever seen. Repetitive head trauma chokes the brain.
Golden Globe nominee Will Smith stars as Dr. Bennett Omalu, American immigration neuropathologist, who made the first discovery of CTE, the football-related brain trauma. Will Smith and the film continues to be a top trending topic, but as we near Super Bowl Sunday this weekend, the film's subject, concussions in football, continues to be a prevalent topic and a concern for parents whose kids are playing the sport, but the threat of concussions goes beyond the sport of football. It is a conversation that a pair of brothers here locally want to continue in our community, and they're doing something about it on their home turf.
As athletes take the field, these student athletes are taking initiative, making sure they and their peers play smart and stay smart. The Play Smart, Stay Smart organization was founded 2.5 years ago when a 200-page paper assignment turned into a mission for Columbus High School senior Billy Reese.
I didn't want to write down something that would bore me to death, so I figured, concussions, that's in the news, it's affected me personally, might as well do something about it.
Billy and his brother, junior Jake Reese, along with fellow athletes, peers, and staff at Columbus High School, are raising awareness about concussions, symptoms, myths, and long-term effects.
The big issue that we see is that you can have great testing, you can have great coaches, great trainers. The problem is that everyone can be doing their job, but no one knows what's going inside a player's head other than the player. So what we do is we try and teach kids about the signs and symptoms of concussions, and to the credit of the students here and really in Miami, everyone's really taking it to heart. They realize the seriousness of the issue.
We go to kids and educate them about the signs and symptoms of a concussion and what to look out for when they're on the field, so that when they have the symptoms, they could take themselves out.
According to the CDC, concussion symptoms reported are headache or pressure, nausea or vomiting, dizziness, blurry vision, sensitivity to light or noise, feeling sluggish, hazy, foggy or groggy, confusion or problems concentrating. And these guys found a creative way to spread the word in this PSA, realizing that concussion symptoms are similar to The Walking Dead.
We kind of incorporated the two together, made a video called Concussion Zombie.
The Play Smart, Stay Smart organization and its message is catching on both on and off the field. Dallas Mavericks forward and University of Florida grad Chandler Parsons posted this to his social, wearing the organization's awareness band.
Yeah, I've definitely seen a great response. I think we have started to make it cool to report their symptoms and just sit out.
They've taught me a lot about what happens when you get a concussion. So now I've learned that if I'm ever feeling dizzy after a big hit, I sit out immediately and I get tested for it.
Students and kids are trying to stay safe and trying to pick up on it as well. They wanna have a good future.
Well, those student athletes at Christopher Columbus High School definitely doing their part to spread awareness. Now, what do you do if your child does choose to sit out the next big play on the field? We welcome Dr. Alejandro Valdez, CEO and Chief Medical Officer of Ortho Now. Doctor, welcome. So glad you're here. Now, the Reese brothers, they told me that their parents pulled them out of football, a game that they love so much, out of fear, out of concussions. But the threat goes way beyond football. We're talking about soccer, ladies as well, and outside of sports.
Ladies in particular, actually, and younger kids, because they don't have the strong neck to absorb the blow. I mean, think about a concussion as a brain inside fluid and getting sloshed around, basically. So anytime there's a jerking injury, it will cause basically a sprain or a contusion to the brain, which usually heals like sprains do. And that's where the misconception lies.
What are some other myths, doctor? Because you can't heal, but it's making that decision to not sit out and go back in where the real danger comes in.
That's right, that's right. And it's really generally a clinical diagnosis, meaning that we diagnose with the signs and symptoms. Typically, at least in this community, I see people run to the hospitals and they get MRIs. The MRIs are negative. Now, unless you have a severe head injury, which is different from a concussion. Okay, if you have a subdural hematoma, that's a completely different injury. What's important is the clinical assessment, and then the subtle diagnosis made with impact testing. So the education here has to have a baseline test. So before the athlete or child has an injury, then they can have a baseline test and you compare it later on. And that's really has to be the message, is that kids who are at risk or athletes at risk should have a baseline impact test.
And the baseline testing should be conducted before these athletes ever take the field.
That's right. That's right. And it's a combination of a cognitive test, balance, and thinking, basically. So how concentrating. So the test involves a computer where you're doing almost puzzles for concentration, and then there's a vestibular or balance test, and all of that's incorporated into a score, and later on that can be checked to basically rule out a concussion and help determine when somebody can go back to play.
And that's the key. It's making that determination before those athletes ever do take the field.
That's right.
And it's so important, Doctor. I know one message that you want to make sure to get out there to the community. Baseline testing, it's not out of reach. It's something easy for parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, coaches and schools to get involved and have done. Tell us more about that.
And schools themselves are now offering it, athletic programs. At Ortho Now, we decided that this was part of our key offering because we do a lot of sports medicine and orthopedic immediate assessment. So we want people to be able to come in and get an assessment for that, even though we might not necessarily be experts in concussion treatment. So we would refer them to the right brain injury specialist, including vestibular therapists and all these things to recover from them. Other myths, by the way, are the pupil dilation and the fact that, you need to stay out of school. That's not true. What you need to do is avoid exercise or activity of the brain, which means no texting, don't take exams, things we have to test. It's okay to passively learn, but you don't have to shut down. And of course, that's determined by the clinician.
Absolutely. As we do near Super Bowl Sunday, it is a conversation that always revs up, of course, during football season, and of course with the movie that, as we saw there,
which I only recently saw.
Oh, there you go. I'd be curious to pick your brain about that, pun intended. But the most important thing is educating ourselves and continuing that conversation. So we thank you so much, Doctor, for being here to help us continue that conversation. Ortho Now, they are located at 3650 Northwest 82nd Avenue, Suite 201 in Doral. If you want more information, simply log on to orthonowcare.com or call 305-537-7272. And Doctor, I know you tweet at Dr. Badia, so you check them out. Continue the conversation on social media as well.
Ortho Nows by spring.
Oh, okay. There you go. So you're expanding. There you go. Keeping it going.